Okay, I think we have everybody here.
Yep.
Wow, full squad.
Okay,
In a minute.
great. Okay, well, if everybody's ready, I will go ahead and call to order the Royal Oak Downtown Development Authority meeting for Wednesday, May 19th, 2021. We will do a roll call. And I will start that and remind everybody to give us your location if you would, please. Director Brake,
Present here in Royal Oak.
Director London,
Here, I'm in Birmingham, Michigan.
Director Yazbek,
Here, Royal Oak.
Director Lewan,
Here at Detroit.
thank you. Director Riley,
Here, Royal Oak.
Director Rosbeck,
Here, Royal Oak.
Director Keith,
Here, Royal Oak.
and I am present in Royal Oak. Okay, moving on. Carol or Tim, this time is designated for public comment.
Is there anyone in the audience at this time who would like to make public comment? If there is, please raise your virtual hand. And if you are calling in from a cell phone, you would hit *9 to raise your virtual hand. Okay, so I'm seeing nobody raise their hands. So
Okay.
if you want to give them a couple more minutes or just move along into the agenda.
I think most of the people will probably might be added down the road here. So I'm going to go ahead and close public comment at this time. Move on to item number 4, approval of the meeting minutes from March 24th, 2021. Do we have any changes to that? Questions?
I'll move
No.
to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
Okay. I have a motion by Director Rosbeck and supported by Director Riley. Any discussion, questions, changes? Okay. Roll call, please. Director Yazbek,
Yes.
Director Rosbeck,
Yes.
Director Riley,
Yes.
Director Lewan,
Yes.
Director London,
Yes,
Director Brake. Director Brake, did I have you? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Thank you. Director Keith,
Yes.
and I will vote yes also. Okay. Item number 5 is expense items. These are reports for March and April for informational purposes. If you have any questions, I see Director Riley.
Yeah, Tim, real quick, I see that we cut the check to Ridley's as we all had agreed. Quick question on that. I seem to remember, I know that originally we had 1.3 million in the grants. I seem to remember that as of going into this, we had about 1.1 that had gone out. Obviously, this is included. I know there's at least one other that I know that's still sitting out there, somebody who's closed, who's waiting to reopen. But beyond that, am I right that we still probably have about 150,000 left in that? Two-part question. And when we did this next year's budget, if you will, that starts in July, did we roll over any of that money in the fund fund balance?
Well, I'll answer without going back and looking. I would suspect your number's close to being correct in terms of what was budgeted versus what was expended so far. Based on formula, we budgeted a little more, and so there should be a balance there under the rebound program. No, other than rolling over a fund balance, there's no funds, there's no line item to continue the rebound program into next year.
No, that wasn't my question. What I'm saying is, if in the budget that we looked at the last meeting, if the number was X that was in the fund balance, did that X include, the 200,000 or so that was still left between the 1.3 million and the 1.1 million? In other words, what I'm trying to decide is, do we have a windfall, if you will, coming our way, from post the budget that we agreed upon?
Right, your line item, if you didn't expend those funds, will carry over as part of the fund balance.
Got it. Okay. That's what I want to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions regarding these expense items? Okay, no actions necessary. Move on to item number 6, Infrastructure Committee recommendation, library request for funds. Tim, you want to start us out on this?
Certainly, and the library director, the interim library director is an attendee, Adrian, and when you want to talk to her or have her input, we can let her come in and participate. The board did get a request from the library to fund some of the external improvements around the library. The infrastructure committee has met with the interim library director, Adrian, and the committee met again after that in terms of that request. There's quite a lengthy attachment and communication from the library director that outlines the reason and the basis for the request, as well as the building facilities assessment that was done for the library by Plant Moran. Very quickly, the request was related to exterior lighting upgrades at about a little over 35,000. The stone retaining wall reinforcements, I believe that's along the east side of the library where you drive down into the loading dock area at 78,750. In that area as well, there are walkway handrails and the retaining walls at another $105,000. And then the replacement of the west egress steps, if you've been on that side between the new parking deck and driveway entrance, there's a set of steps that go to the lower level of the library, and they were requesting financial assistance to pay for those at about $52,500. So that's kind of the request, and I think if you want to let Adrian in, she can add to it. What the committee in its discussion and recommendation to the full board indicated was that they were primarily concerned with providing this funding at the current time. I think the committee members, and they can speak for themselves in a minute, are supportive of the library and supportive of assisting in projects. As outlined in the memo, I think some of the concern was some of the expenditures that have already gone out in and around the library area at the current time, and how those have impacted the budget, as well as other items that the DDA would like to include in its budget going forward in the short term. And then the last part, the committee was aware that there's some potential funding that's coming from the feds under the American Rescue Plan, and they were hoping that some of those could be used in the area, and or some sort of split going into the future. The last item that I didn't really cover in the cover memo, I think had to deal with the figures being estimates based out of the assessment versus potentially being actual bid numbers based on construction documents, and the fact that the construction market materials are so volatile right now. The committee was a little concerned with committing a specific dollar amount at the present time, and just to find out when it's bid later or potentially bid later that those numbers would be impacted as well. I think that's kind of a summary of what the committee's commentary was. I can talk about options, but if the committee wants to add their comments to it, that's kind of the overview. And if you want to hear from Adrian, I know she's been unmuted, so.
Okay, so I think the appropriate procedure right now would be, as we have done typically in the past, is to have the library director, if she wants to address the board, I think now would be the time. We'll allow her to do that, and then we'll bring it back to the table for a discussion among the board. So Carol or Adrian, if you'd like to address the DDA at this time, this would be the appropriate time.
Thank you so much. I am unmuted. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Wonderful. Yep. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for considering our letter. As you know, the library is getting to the age where it's going to need, more work than just regular upkeep. These external building items will help with the safety and beautification of the downtown area, but I agree with what Mr. Twing said. I think we need to do some more homework and potentially get some RFPs going for this, just due to all the cost changes from COVID, and potentially revisit it at a later date. I would also like to point out that since we sent this letter, we did receive a grant for $15,000 to help with the exterior lighting work. So we are getting an RFP for that in process, so we'll have some better information. But mostly I just want to say thank you so much for considering it, and I understand where you guys are coming from, and I think we just need to do a little bit more homework and then potentially talk again at a later date.
Okay, thank you. So I'll bring it back to the table here. Well, I'll lean on the committee first here, which is myself and Mr. Keith, Director Keith. I don't think we need to go in a real deep discussion on this. I think the memo that Tim put together kind of speaks for itself. I agree with all the comments that the library director just brought forth to the table. I do want to make it publicly clear, though, that our committee, and I think the DDA as an entirety, has no objection of working with the library board. And for us, it was really just a matter of a few items, mostly, as Tim mentioned, timing, some of the projects that we've already undertaken, some of the projects we're getting ready to undertake, the budget issue, just really, we don't have a full amount of information on this project that I would feel comfortable, writing a check for and completing until we got a lot more of that. As the director said, the numbers, and as Tim said, also the numbers could be all over the board. They may not be as accurate as what Plant Moran Cressa has sent to us in the memo.
Mike, can I interrupt?
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
Because I just heard Adrian ask for it to be withdrawn or postponed.
Okay, I'm sorry. Then we should probably.
I don't know that we need to even discuss it anymore if she wants to postpone the request and do some additional fact finding and come back to the board with some harder figures and things like that. But that's kind of what I heard from Adrian, and maybe she can confirm that that's actually what she's indicating at this point. Is she's just asking you to postpone it, and she'll be back later with more information. So
okay, that is reasonable to me, and I'm fine with that. So unless there's anything else on this matter,
Can I just ask a question? Sorry. Can I ask a question that has the library asked if some of this critical needs items if they were to bundle it with the terrace work? Or, I think you've had this discussion with them. Will you see any savings with that? Or is this, completely outside of that and they can't be bundled?
I think I'm going to leave this to either Mr. Brake or Mr. Twing, because I think that the work that we put forward, which was part of the front area, is completely separate than what we're talking about right now. and the funding may not intermingle with that. So I guess I would lean on one of you guys to answer that.
All of these items are outside the scope of work for any of the work activity that's currently going on. They would
No,
all,
and I understand that.
they would all have to be provided with a bid and a new contract and a new scope of work. So, I mean, if
No,
the,
I
if the
totally
library
understand.
if the library wanted to go down that road, they certainly could.
I was just thinking that if you do have the workers out there and these are all external to the library, is there any cost bundling that you could do? That's all.
Can you imagine revisiting those contracts? I'd rather not.
I'm not, you know what? I'm not saying revisit contracts, but I am saying you have the workforce out there. You may get some latitude at certain points.
Right.
If it's not a materials issue.
I think, Director Rosbeck, I think your question is a valid one. And I think as we move forward with this at a later date here, I think that's a major question that should be asked. And we'll address it when we try to get more information as this project moves forward.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay, that being said, we're just going to go ahead and move on to the next item, which is item number 7, the CMC recommendation, DDA promotional videos. I think we're dealing with the RFP here. Kim?
You went out for bid on the RFP. I'll kind of lead into it a little bit. And the Consumer Marketing Committee did interview some presenters. The committee is recommending that the firm of Decal be selected to move forward with, and that basically that staff and the committee sit down and negotiate the actual terms and elements of a promotional video and photographic document contract going forward that would be brought back at a future meeting to the DDA. The purpose of this being in front of the DDA today was, I think, twofold. One, to try and introduce the Decal firm to the full board and get the concurrence of the full board that this is a group that you would want to move forward with. I know Melanie Westendorf is on the call from the group. I'm not sure who else is involved from that group, so you could have the conversation with her. But at that point, at this point, I'm gonna turn over to the committee and let them discuss their thoughts and recommendations.
Okay. Who wants to start? Committee Chair Yasmic?
Sure. We did look at a number of proposals. We whittled it down, I think, to 3 that we heard from. And out of the 3, this Decal group really stood out. They have some very, we thought, innovative ideas, very professional organization, well established. And I think we thought as a whole, perhaps with this group, we can kind of take what we've done, what we've accomplished, which has been very good, and take it to the next level with some new, some fresh ideas, and provide some interesting content. They were, from a financial perspective, it's interesting because they have a range. The other groups had a static number. So that's something that we need to address, as Tim alluded to. I have a suggestion in a minute on how maybe best to do that. But as far as Decal, I think they were far and away the most exciting prospect that we talked to, that we looked at.
Okay. Anybody else from the committee wanted to chime in on this, or?
I mean, I support, everything that Tony was talking, Director Yesbick was talking about. I mean, we went through multiple discussions about the different firms that submitted, and at the end of the day, they were the best to recommend.
Okay. I'm just kind of curious, I'll get to you in a minute, Mr. Riley. I'm just kind of curious as how we're going to move forward with this in terms of the committee. And I know that there's a line in here. I mean, though there was a scope of work that was put in the RFP, but it looks like that scope of work still needs to be determined and discussed further with Decal or whichever firm we decide on. And I'm just curious how that's going to go down. Is that going to be something that the committee is going to put together a list of priorities and a list of scope of work that they think need to be done? Or are we going to let Decal come back to us with different types of scenarios and proposals, and we'll, follow their lead and select one of those? I was wondering what the committee's thoughts were on that. Director Rosbeck.
So, and I second everything that Tony was saying. The reason we picked this firm, and it was really quite unanimous, was they seem to have understood Royal Oak in their proposal and what Royal Oak needs in order to compete against, our other competing communities. So with your question, Chairman Safaya, we will be working with them and with Siren to help, get our strategic initiatives moving and work towards those things that we had a meeting a few days ago to kind of outline some of those important things that we need to get, discussed: the social district, the new parking items, as well as we've got events coming and things like this. And we believe that Decal will help us to make Royal Oak a more experiential town. So.
Thank you. Go ahead, Director London. Go ahead.
Well, they already presented us 3 developed ideas. I wouldn't say fully developed, but more developed than any other firm showed us. And I think the next step was Director Twing or Tim was going to meet with them to go over the budget, right? I think that was the plan.
Okay, so I guess for clarity purposes, Mr. Twing, I'm guessing that this is going to come back to us when it's in a contract form?
That's correct. Again, I think the committee just wanted concurrence that this was the firm that wanted to move forward with, and then we would work out a contract going forward based on the proposal and based on discussions with the committee and even potentially Siren, so that we've formatted a contract that hits the needs of the DDA in the downtown. So yes, the intent would be to bring back a formal contract for the board's action at a future meeting.
Okay, that was what I think I was trying to get to.
Hopefully June, but it may be July. But
okay, so I have a couple hands here. Director Lawan, you were first.
I just think it looks really well done, really well thought out. I agree with Jennifer and Lori and everybody's comments. I'm very excited to see it move forward.
Okay, thank you. And I also have Director Riley.
Yeah, first, just out of curiosity, the low end of this is 9,500. Director Yesbeck, I'll ask you: do we know how much content they're providing at 9,500? I know there's a bunch of pages in the background. I apologize, I didn't dig through it, but I'm just wondering in comparison. I know there were members of the committee that had issues with Scroove's price at 7,500, and these guys were starting at 9,500. And look, I above all know price doesn't mean this is not how we make our decision. If somebody's offering something good, I totally understand that. I'm just wondering where we are in terms of content on that, and then I have a follow-up question.
That was specifically detailed in their proposal. I think it was it was consistent with what the RFP requested.
So the 9,500 was if you will, was at or about where Scrooge was providing us content then?
Tim, I think actually it's a little bit less than what Groove was providing. I don't recall exactly. Do you? Or Jennifer or Lori or Mike?
So I think we have to look at this differently than what.
No, that's not the question. That wasn't my question. I
understand,
know,
but
no.
we're not.
Director Rosbeck, I know I asked a simple question. I know we have to look at everything differently. I'm the first one to say that. I'm just wondering.
And I understand that. What I'm getting at, Matt, is we went through our RFP and we're bringing this forward.
I asked
they all answered the RFP.
How many videos? I'll rephrase
one at a time, please. One at a time. One at a time.
Let me rephrase my question. How many videos are we getting for $9,500 a month?
4.
4. Okay.
But Matt, the difference is you're also getting 25 select photography.
Well, how many photographs did we get with Scrooge? I'm just asking.
We're getting Matt, I believe we're getting apples to apples.
I would agree.
Just from that perspective.
In content wise, I would agree.
That's what I want to know. So 9,500 is kind of meeting where we were. That's all I was trying to establish. All right. And then the next question I have was, I know there were members of the CMC, particularly Director Rosbeck, who wanted storyboards and full approval of all content and creative aspects. Is that the plan still, and is that how they bid this? Did they bid this so that each video they're going to come to you with storyboards? They're going to go through every video with you. You're going to approve who's in it, who they're featuring, how it's posted, and all of that. Is that still the plan, or are we going to allow them some creative liberties?
So again, Matt, the reason that we went down the way we did with the other vendor, and it wasn't just me, I'm not the only one on the CMC who asked for that and agreed to that.
I'm not talking about the other vendor. No, Jennifer, I'm talking.
No, but I mean of storyboards.
I'm asking what they are they going to submit I'm just wondering.
We're asking for a closer connection with this vendor with the committee to help understand what their vision is and to really make sure that we are bringing their concepts to life and agreeing to their concepts. So yeah, I mean, we're not.
Is the committee going to allow them creative freedom? In other words, do they have to approve? I'm asking logistically. Is the process that they come to you and say, here's what we want to shoot this month. Here's our storyboards. We want to do these 4. I'm not saying that's what I want. I'm saying I heard that in the past, and I'm wondering if that's going to be the case.
So I'm going to turn that question to Tim because Sean was managing that previously. So our document manager was managing how our vendor, was managing our vendors. Right now, we're in an interim period.
Did the RFP include that type of verbiage that the vendor was going to have to supply storyboards as if they were doing a commercial for General Motors? Or
you're really exaggerating the point, but they already provided us with 3 developed concepts with loose storyboard ideas, which were far superior to anything we saw from the other vendor.
I'm asking if it was included.
They're going to work with
what
us.
I don't want to have happen is I don't want to have this vendor. I don't want to accept the vendor. And then all of a sudden we implement rules that they weren't sure of. In other words, if they need to come and bring storyboards for every video, 4 videos a month, that's going to incur an extra cost. And I want to make sure that we're not bit by that cost. I don't give a damn about the past. I'm only concerned about
So Matt, I think you don't really understand the concept of storyboard in the fact that it was really just to be an outline of what they were shooting. And then we didn't really get that. And so we have asked for that.
Can I jump in?
Hold on, Mr. Twain.
I guess there's a lot of technical questions going to be answered that are going to be answered over the next month when we write an actual contract
I
about
agree.
and where it's going to be procedurally done. That's the purpose of the next month. The only thing we're doing today is saying that this was a group the committee felt comfortable going forward with, and how that gets there. They may modify the proposal based on their discussions, and while their submission says $9,500 per month, it may be something different than that when it finally comes back. I think the only thing that you're doing today is saying, out of all the RFP responses, this is the group that you want staff and the committee to move forward with in writing a contract. I think a lot of your questions, Matt, will be answered when you see the contract.
And that's exactly right. My thing is, I didn't want to get into a situation where we enter into a contract with somebody and we're asking them to provide something that they hadn't considered that ends up being costly to them in terms of resources and manpower. That was my main concern. I really, the past is the past, man. I mean, what we've all been through the last year. I mean, come on.
Okay, so we do have a suggested resolution, and I'll remind everybody on the board that the contract for this will come back to us for approval at some other date. And if there's questions or related to that, we'll be able to address those.
Mike and Adam Wilson has his hand up. I'm not sure what.
Okay, let me just, Tony, can you wait until?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Go ahead and allow Mr. Wilson in.
He is in. He's unmuted.
I'm sorry.
Hi.
Mr. Wilson?
You guys hear me?
Yes, now will be the time to address the board, please.
Okay, hello. Hey, I raised my hand several minutes ago when it seemed like we could answer some questions. So the only thing I have to say, unless you have questions for me and the rest of the team, is thank you very much. We're very, very excited that you guys are recommending us. So I'm happy to, we could take Matt through the process, or any other board member anytime. We'd be very happy to. It's like breathing for us. We don't do anything unless we get approval from our clients. And also, we also go the extra length of always connecting the dots back to the strategy. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. So, and anyone and everyone can make videos, but is it strategically sound? And we owe you that every time before we break open cameras.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wilson. And I'll remind him and everybody else that as Director Yesbeck has said a number of times, or I'm sorry, Director Rosbeck has said a number of times in the past, sometimes when we work at the committee level, not all the information gets to the other members, and other members would like to participate sometimes in what other committees are doing, and so forth and so forth. So there will be some back and forth with a lot of this, and we'll work through it. And it sounds like we have some time, and we'll have to spend some extra time on this because of the importance of it. So let me, Director London, 1 minute. I want to go to Director Yesbeck first because he's been waiting. Director Yesbeck.
Let's hear from Lori first. I'm going to make a suggestion that I referred to earlier about how to move forward, but go ahead.
Thank you. Director London.
That was part of what I was going to say. You read my mind is, Tim, you make me nervous when you say it's going to take a couple months. Let's hopefully we get through this process sooner rather than later, because time is a ticking. I know we have a plan that we haven't spoken about to the committee about our interim social media plan, but love to get this rolling soon.
Thank you. Okay. I will then go to Director Yesbeck.
Yeah, my suggestion simply is from a structural perspective, how to move forward with this. When we first were introduced to decal, that's a question that came up. How do we actually negotiate the contract? And I said, I'd be happy to do it with Mr. Twing and maybe Mr. Twing said maybe Ms. Rosbeck would be good to have negotiate this because she's familiar with the territory. My suggestion is this. We're the Consumer Marketing Committee. We should be doing what we're doing with this. I think we made an excellent selection here. I'm very excited with the prospect of moving forward with decal. But the Business Marketing Committee, I think I also see an opportunity for them to be involved as far as negotiating the contract. That's really what the Business Marketing Committee is supposed to do. That's what they did during this whole pandemic. They really, set the stage for all these things that we're doing. So what my suggestion would be, and it also satisfies, I think, what Director Safaya, Chairman Safaya was alluding to, that when one committee handles all of it, the other committee is kind of, they don't get as much information and familiarity as they could. So my suggestion would be that for purposes of negotiating the contract only, I think this should be referred to the Business Marketing Committee. And then the Business Marketing Committee could submit that contract back to the board. And then ultimately, once the contract is decided upon, the Consumer Marketing Committee does what it's going to do. This way, we play to the strengths of the different committees. And we also, it's an opportunity to familiarize everybody, because Director Lewan is on the Business Marketing Committee, Director Riley. And then we all kind of get a taste of what we're doing. And I think the Business Marketing Committee should be involved in the business aspect of it. And the negotiation of the contract is exactly that. So I guess I'm just making that suggestion and to see what the thoughts are.
Director Riley.
If that was amenable, I would only be accepting of that is if we knew what the content was. In other words, the Consumer Marketing Committee is the one who's deciding what they want from the vendor. Okay, we're not going to decide how many videos and how many photographs and how many that's within the Consumer Marketing Committee. I've said all along, I'd always be up for negotiating contracts, whether it was English Gardens, whether it was Worry Free or whatever, that I'd like our committee to have a bite at the apple, just because, I think we could, for lack of a better term, we could come to some better understandings and also some incentive-based stuff that we have ideas on. But I would not want to negotiate the content. That's the Consumer Marketing Committee. If it's the dollars, yeah, I'd be all in favor of that.
Good point. Okay, Director Rosbeck.
So I'm not disagreeable about this, but I would want this to be a shared negotiation. So I appreciate that the Business Marketing Committee is looking at the dollars, but we really need to understand, you need to understand some of the mechanics around those dollars to understand what we're asking for, and SLAs are a little different and things like that. So
I think that's the point. I think that's the point that Director Riley just made. I think you're both on the same page.
And that would only make our negotiating standpoint stronger.
Yeah.
You can't negotiate what we don't understand, I guess.
Director London.
And just to piggyback on all the comments, when this is consumer marketing, this is not marketing to other businesses, although it helps. We're really marketing to consumers. So I don't mind someone from the business marketing to negotiate, but I don't think it should be all of us. Too many people in the pot look at this conversation. It should just be Jennifer. This is her job day in and day out. She knows marketing. So I think the less people, the better, and the better for Tim, and the better for Adam and Melanie.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments regarding this? Okay, so I have there is a suggested resolution that's before us. Let me get to it here. Okay, Does the board want to take any action? Director Rosbeck.
I'd like to make the motion that we move forward with directing staff to start the negotiations with Decal.
I second that.
Question.
Motion, 1 second. Motion by Director Rosbeck, second by Director London. And now time for question, Director Riley.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm confused.
That was our recommendation. That was the resolution coming forward.
Okay, so I'm confused. I thought that what was going to happen was the Consumer Marketing Committee was going to sit down and narrow down the focus as to exactly what they wanted in terms of, if you will, the market basket of goods being provided, and then the price would be set. But if you're directing staff, if you're directing staff, are you directing staff to do that? Because what I'm seeing is a proposal with a range, a price range.
So, right.
So you want Tim to decide on where we go from here.
No, let me jump in. What's going to happen here is if you pass the resolution, we're going to put down a standard agreement that the city and the DDA use. The scope of work will be an item that the marketing committee and the business marketing committee and the whole full board will at some point have input on. Once that scope's put together, how it impacts the dollars that Decal has put together, we'll add that as a dollar item. Staff's not going to define the scope of work.
Got it.
Okay, that's going to come from you guys. What we're going to put together is the nuts and bolts of the agreement, and so that we have some format to it. And so I think everyone is going to have an opportunity to have input on it before we send it to Decal, so that you all have a chance to say thumbs up, and then we'll get their input back. So, but just for clarity, all staff's going to do is put the framework of the agreement together, and based on some discussions, start the scope of work. And what we need from you is, is 2 videos every month what you want, or is it 3, or is there some additions where you may ask for a 3rd one, or there's some months where you don't need one, depending on. So we're going to try and lay it out on a basis so it's clear going forward. So.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Twing. Thank you for the clarification. I think what happened, Director Riley, just for your knowledge, is I think the cover letter, which was written by Mr. Kammer, the resolution that's in there is a little bit off. And I think what we're really trying to do here is just start the ball rolling with Decal without any specific contract negotiations or scope of work at this time, which will be, as Mr. Twing directed, developed shortly.
So to put it in idiot's terms, so I can understand it. Well, basically what we're going to do is we're authorizing Tim to go ahead and negotiate a contract with Decal that'll basically have blanks in it that will fill in with dollar amounts and
like a standard service
Essentially,
agreement.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I think essentially what you're saying is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, Director Yazbek.
Okay, I understand the motion on the table, and I don't know, again, I'm going to suggest this specific procedure if they want to consider that as in their motion or not. Exactly what Mr. Twing said he is going to do should be done, the nuts and bolts of the contract. I suggest it should then go to the CMC to define the scope. And once that scope is defined, I think it should be referred to the BMC to negotiate the number. Those 2 meetings could happen next month, and then it comes back to the full board for approval. That's how I believe it's the most logical way to proceed. That's my.
Why does the business marketing committee have to negotiate our contract?
That's what the business marketing committee, it's just like what the consumer marketing committee was saying when the business marketing committee was doing everything during the pandemic. The consumer marketing committee said, wait, why are you doing everything? We should be doing some things. And I think that was a fair point. Now the consumer marketing committee should do what consumer marketing committee does, and the business marketing committee should do what
I
they
mean,
do.
we don't, I'm just,
I'll,
I'm thrown into such a loop. I
But
have
don't-
no words.
I'll put it simply. It's, if I think there's members of our committee that have decent negotiating skills. And it's, as long as we understand the parameters and we understand what's going on, I think that in certain situations, I believe that the business marketing committee, just through diligence, could save us a lot of money and impact our budget and allow us to do more things.
I'm going to offer up a second alternative to Director Yesbick's
We don't have to do it.
comments. We don't, yeah, I mean, the board can do whatever it wants to do. I'll offer up a second alternative to allow myself and Mr. Twing to select DDA board members that we think are in the best position, which would include members from CMC, include members from BMC, to when we get down to a negotiating point and an actual contract before us, to deal with that contract, to come back to the full DDA board for his final approval.
So we
That's
have a
just
motion
second
that's
alternative.
not talking to this yet. So can we vote on that motion?
I'm sorry, we can vote on the original motion. It was Director Yesbick's wishes that we add that into the original motions, I think what he was trying to get to.
So you want me to amend my motion?
That's, you're the maker of the motion. You don't have to amend it. You don't have to do anything. We can
can we-
vote on it
This is
right
so
now.
highly unusual. I've been on this board for 5 years and this is so highly unusual. I cannot believe what's happening right now.
So let's make a subsequent motion after this, but let's just make a motion to have Tim's get the ball rolling as stated.
Okay, we have a motion on the table from Director Rosbeck, and it's seconded by Director London. Essentially, that motion is to move forward with decal in this process. When I'm not going to go into any specifics about contracts or content and scope of work at this time. Okay, any questions on the motion? Okay, seeing none. I'm going to call roll call vote. Director Rosbeck,
Yes.
Director London,
Yes.
Director Brake is no longer with us. Director Lewan,
Yes.
Director Riley,
Yes.
Director Keith,
Yep. Yes.
Director Yesbick,
Yes.
and I will vote yes also. Okay. Before we move on, are there any other discussions on this topic?
Yep. Okay.
I see Director Yesbick's hand.
Yes, I will make a follow-up motion to create that joint committee that you suggested, Mr. Chairman, to negotiate the final contract after the CMC defines the content.
I have a motion by Director Yesbick,
I'll second that motion.
seconded by Director Keith. Discussions regarding this portion of the motion.
So who's on that committee?
Well,
It's to
my
be
suggestion
determined.
was to you, and I will follow the direction of the board, whatever the full board wants. My suggestion to you is that I would meet with Mr. Twing, and we would form a committee.
I'm sorry, that is part of my motion.
Yeah, that's fine.
And that would be the way the committee would be formed, but I would assure everybody that there would be members of CMC, members of BMC. I don't think it's appropriate to form that, or formulate those names right now.
No, I understand.
But that was my suggestion. Again, we don't have to do my suggestion. I just was trying to make this work. Okay.
I have a
So question from Director Riley.
Are we the only one, are we in? No, I'm not gonna answer the question. I'm not gonna answer the question. Is, what was his name? It's Adam?
Adam,
Adam? Okay.
they both left.
And Director London, the only thing is, the only thing I have to say is that, I don't think there's anything wrong with particularly when it comes down to just negotiating the price, having more than one set of eyes looking at it, or to be able to have more than one bite at the apple, if you will. In fact, I've long thought that there's, and this is really a bad example because this is a new vendor that we're starting a relationship with. But I think we've got some vendors that we've had for over the years, and I'm just going to speak from the hip here, that take total advantage of us. And just like year after year, they just give us the contract and they look at us like we're government. We're just going to approve it. And it's not our money, and it's not our business, and we're not even shareholders. You know, it's not like we're a typical board of directors where we own stock in this thing. And I think sometimes we're taken advantage of. And now, particularly now, where I see all the good that we've done with a little bit of extra money that we had laying around, by the way, due to some negotiation back when and I don't want to go back, but we went back to 696, we did it in a way that we were in a position to negotiate at the table what people were going to pay for the land and what they were looking for in terms of TIF and stuff like that. And that's how I think, you know, we ended up in the situation that we were in. So I don't think there's anything wrong with and I'm not saying put me on the committee. I don't care. If you guys want me to, I'm more than happy to. But I think there's different people on this board that have different skills, and some of them have skills in the ability to negotiate and if you will get, you know, I don't like getting taken advantage of. And these guys are not. These guys are new. But there's a couple of vendors that we have that I think have taken advantage of us over the years.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote that's on the motion that's on the table. I have a motion from Director Yazbek that was seconded by Director Keith. And I will call for that vote at this time. Director Yazbek,
Yes.
Director Keith,
Yes.
Director Riley,
Yes.
Director London,
No.
Director Rosbeck.
Yes.
Director Brake is no longer with us. Director Lawan.
Yes.
And I will vote yes also, and that motion passes. Okay, we are done with that item.
Before you move on, we have the next two facade grant items. I don't believe there's anybody on the line for those. I did send out 2 emails on 2 different items that if the board would like to discuss those today, I would ask that you add those to the agenda at this point, if you want to add them. And that is the proposal from Siren PR regarding social media that was discussed with the Consumer Marketing Committee at their meeting this week. And then a second one in regards to a proposal that's, I'm not sure who the lead is on it other than Mr. Brake had sent out an email as well in regards to COVID-19 vaccine operation at the farmers market with MedTech and the Restaurant Association. And I'm not sure if there's someone on the call from MedTech. There was supposed to be. If there is, I'd ask that you raise your hands. Okay, it's a Steve. So if, depending on the order you want to take those in,
Okay,
and you want to add them, I would ask that you add them now. If you don't want to add them, that's fine, but.
okay. We'll, I'm going to address these one at a time, and I'll need to know from the board here whether these are items that you want to address on today's meeting. I will start with the second one that Mr. Twing mentioned regarding the COVID vaccine project that's being discussed throughout the city here, and we may have somebody on the line. If we do, we'll give them an opportunity to speak. Does the board want to address that at this meeting? All I need is one member to.
Yes.
Okay, I see a number of members that would like to discuss this. Okay, so procedurally, we'll follow the same procedure. I see Siren is on. Is there anybody else Waiting
It
in the
looks
wings. to
like
speak
there
on
is a Steve Materna trying to, I don't know if he's part of this topic.
Mr. Twing, you're muted there. There you go.
Steve's with MedTech.
There you go.
Take them first. You can have that conversation first.
Okay. Do we have him on? I can't tell.
Yes.
Okay. Steve, I'm sorry. Are you with us?
Some reason I'm not able to unmute him.
Maybe now.
He's
There it is.
How about now?
Okay. Mr. Materna, then. Now is the period of time where you're able to address the DDA board here. We'll take your comments and then we'll bring it back to the table here for discussion. That's our normal procedure. So if there's anything else anything you want to bring to the board, now would be the time. And then we'll ask you to stay on for a minute and answer any questions that the board may have.
Understood. Thank you. Thank you for the time. So
Yes.
MedNext is a Lake Orion-based company who is currently doing vaccines and COVID-19 testing throughout the state of Michigan. And we're working with the Restaurant Authority in Royal Oak and the Farmers Market to set up a vaccine event in the upcoming weeks. I think the purposes of this agenda item is that with the success of the downtown development dollars that you guys have put out there, the Royal Oak Bucks, we were curious to know if we could get some dollars allocated so that if somebody comes in, receives a COVID vaccine at the farmers market during our event, if we could reward them with an incentive in Royal Oak Bucks for doing so at that time to try to get the population vaccination numbers up.
Okay. So I know some board members have already emailed and addressed this a little bit. I'm going to assume that everybody got the email from Mr. Brake about his position. He wanted us to know that before because he would not be in attendance for this. So I'll give the board a chance to discuss it right now. If we have any, first of all, do we have any questions for Mr. Materna here? Director Rosbeck.
Yes, I'm just trying to, piece this together a little bit better. So is the vaccine clinic or the testing clinic geared towards the restaurant workers, or is it geared towards the public?
Really both. So we started this with the intention of really targeting the restaurant workers. Obviously, they're on literally the front lines, right, with the public and all of that. But we take all comers, so it's a public event. We'll send communications out to the restaurant workers, book their appointments, set time aside to do them specifically, where it's convenient for them either before or after a shift. And then we're also available, and this would be available through social media and public relations channels and things like that to publicize the event. But we'll take walk-ins and if somebody wants to make an appointment in advance as well. So we're really everybody, but it started as a restaurant worker and kind of expanded out into the greater population that would be around that testing event at the farmers market.
So my other question is how many, if you were to have a rush on the clinic, how many can you really serve for the 2-day total?
We can, on average, we're doing somewhere between 50 and 65 vaccinations per hour. That assumes that, we have the population to vaccinate at that point.
Anything else, Director
What
Ross?
vaccine are you using? Is it a single?
Hold on,
I
Director
just
Lennon, I'll get
have
you.
one more question. Do we know what the vaccine numbers are of our restaurant employees, or in general, our downtown area? Do we know what that percentage is? Does anyone? I know you can't kind of ask, but is it around 50% or is it higher?
In terms of vaccinated, who knows?
Yeah, vaccinated. Yep.
I can tell you my team's about 90%. And that's all, I only know my team.
Mr. Materna, I don't know if you were part of that discussion. I was part of a brief discussion with some of the restaurateurs. They did an unofficial survey, and I think they were over 50%. But I can't confirm that. I don't know if that was part of your discussion with some of the other people or not.
And my last question is this open to all ages from 12 and up?
It would be, yes, it would, and we would be
Okay.
doing Pfizer vaccine so that we could allow that to happen.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I had Director Riley first and then Director London.
Yeah, just real quick, going on the emails from Director London and Director Brake. It's rare, but I actually agree with both of them. I agree with Director London, like, come on, man. I mean, you know, it's so easy to go out and get your vaccination. If you haven't done it yet, why not? On the other hand, I totally agree also with Director Brake in that this is a win-win, guys, as far as I'm concerned. We all, I think everybody, I can't speak for everybody, but I know a lot of people, including the governor, wants everybody to get vaccinated. Here's an opportunity for us to open something up, make it easy, not only for our local businesses, but some local people if they want to take advantage. And what is it costing us? We're going to give them downtown dollars, and we're just going to, we have some extra funds sitting there. So let's put them back out there. Do we need to do that? I don't know. But if it helps, it's a win-win. Like Ohio, I think Ohio's genius in having the 5 $1 million lotteries in order to get people vaccinated. I mean, that's a real incentive. You know, I guess we could go that route, you know, with you know, one person wins this card, but I think this is a great idea. And I like Director Brake's idea. And I would make a motion to go ahead with Director Brake's idea and to allocate 250 gift cards to the first 250 people at $10 a piece. And go with that and let it rip. It's a win-win. I don't see any negatives.
Okay, Director London, I'm going to get you in the middle. I have to deal with the motion first, and then I'll get to you. I have a motion on the table by Director Riley,
Second.
second by Director Yazbek. Okay,
And then my only question will be, we'll have to clear up the administration because I know Sean handled Gifty before, so that's something we'll have to take care of.
okay, hang on. We have a motion on the table. Questions, comments? Director London, you're up.
Yeah, I have 2 questions. So is there still gonna be a fee of $10? And is it still getting a shot? Is that still legal? Has that been worked out? Or are they paying $10 to get $10 back in gift cards?
Oh, no, they abandoned that, I think, because of LCC concerns, MLCC concerns.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're not paying right now. There's no $10 being involved.
No, they get their shot and they get the gift card.
Okay, Mr. Materna, did you want to chime in
No,
on
I
that?
had a second question.
Hang on one second, I'll give it to you. Hold on.
Yeah, I just want to be clear. There is no cost to the municipality. There's no cost to the patient. We get paid based on the administration fee that we bill back to the federal government through someone's health insurance. So there's no additional co-pays that'll hit after the fact. If somebody comes up and gets a vaccine at the farmer's market, there's no transactional cost between us and them. If the Royal Oak bucks are approved, we would, you know, be paying out to the patient, and we're not collecting anything on the day of or after the fact. I just want to be clear on that.
Okay,
So
Director
since
London?
it's the Pfizer vaccine, how do you going to guarantee the second shot?
We'll make the second appointments when they receive the first one. And we'll have a number of vaccine clinics going on, but there will be a second event at that same location 3 weeks later.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Great question.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, I do have a motion on the table by Director Riley and a second by Director Yazbek.
Can I just ask one more
Yes.
question?
You may.
Sorry, before you vote. Are we going to put any money around this to promote? Or is MedTech? Are they boosting social media or anything?
No sirens on this call. They can promote it for us.
We can, what we've been typically doing is providing materials. So like there's things like the QR code for the pre-registration to make it easier when somebody comes up on site. and things like that. And then when we, like, for example, when we do a school event, they'll blast it out to their email channels to all the parents, put it on their social media and all that. We're happy to provide materials, but as from a budgetary advertising budget on the MedNext side, we don't have budget allocated for that at this time, no.
Okay. I think that's my next motion, but okay. Go.
Okay. So I do have a motion on the table. So I'm going to call for the vote. Director Riley,
Yes.
Director Yazbek,
Yes.
Director Lewan.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Director London,
Yes.
Director Rosbeck,
Yes.
Director Keith,
Yes.
and I will vote yes.
Can I make
Go
a
ahead.
subsequent
Director
motion?
Rosbeck, yes.
Yes. Can I make a subsequent motion that the DDA maybe put a few bucks in to boost this this clinic to ensure that the 250 actually gets used, or even if it doesn't, I think it's a good promotion to show that the downtown development authority is promoting vaccinations and that we want people to come down to our farmers market and get a vaccination. So I would propose putting $500 towards promotion of this clinic.
Siren has her hand raised.
Okay.
You're
we can-
unmuted, Siren.
Yeah, hi everybody. Hey.
Go ahead.
So that's a really good question, Jenny, about budget for promoting this. I think it's an excellent strategic communication campaign opportunity, and we can certainly communicate this through the media. And then if the motion today, or if the amendment is approved, and social media and the newsletter are activated, we have an audience waiting to receive that. Our current proposed amendment includes $150 per month of boosting that I'm suggesting we route through Siren to make it super easy on Tim. Otherwise, he would have to be the one to do the boosting, which would be meticulous for him. It would be difficult. I can add the $500 amount to this and route that through us if that would be easy for you. But we can certainly make sure that gets done.
How about I say make the motion to say up to 500, because it may not take 500 to boost this.
That's true. It may not, all 500 may not be spent.
Right.
Okay, so right now I have a motion by Director Rosbeck,
I'll second it.
second by Director London.
Go figure.
I'll remind everybody, we do also have the city's website. We have the DDA website. We have the restaurants between themselves and their own websites. Should be able to get the word out there pretty good, I think. Okay. So any other questions, comments? Okay, I'm going to call for the vote. Director Rosbeck,
Yes.
Director London,
Yes.
Director Yazbek,
Yes.
Director Lewan,
Yes.
Director Riley.
Yes.
Okay, Director Keith,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. And that motion passes. Okay, so the next item that we could discuss, if the board wishes, deals with Siren and
I would like to discuss that.
the CMC discussion.
Yes.
Okay, so procedurally, Tim, I'm not up to speed on this, so you're gonna have to catch me up here.
Well, there is a proposal, a contract addendum that Siren provided yesterday and we emailed out. It was in response to discussions with them, with the Consumer Marketing Committee the other night at their meeting, and how to deal with social media in the sense of Instagram, Facebook, the e-newsletter, some of the things that Sean was taking care of, or the social media assistant was going to take care of. This proposal would cover the interim, up through potentially, I believe it goes through August as proposed. Whether you want it to go that long or not is obviously up to the board. I think it will be probably at least 2 months before we have a downtown manager. The posting is out, obviously, and it's out for 30 days. That doesn't mean we have to wait till the end of that to start reviewing applications, but I doubt you're going to have somebody on board before July at the earliest. So I think in order to cover some of those activities, the committee is recommending that Siren take on these duties. They do have a dollar amount they're proposing. The committee did not see this proposal, so I don't want to give you the indication that they're recommending this specific proposal, but they are recommending that Siren take over those duties. So,
Okay, let's let Siren chime in here.
Sure. Can everybody hear me?
Now we can, yes.
Okay, perfect. Hi. Okay, yes, so we discussed at the Consumer Marketing Committee meeting the gap in communicating with the public, consumers, business owners, in Sean's absence and without the assistant hired. We discussed that social media and the newsletter are dormant, silent right now. And with campaigns such as the social district, parking, and the COVID vaccine clinic now that we've heard about coming up, communicating clearly with the public, your 24,000 followers on Facebook, the 20,000 subscribers to the newsletter, covering Instagram, Facebook, and the newsletter sounded like it was a priority in order to continue building relationships and maintaining the reputation that the DDA has built so strongly over the last year or so. So what we are recommending to meet that need is full management of Instagram and Facebook. This is a little bit different than what we were doing before, because with Sean on board, we were managing fully Instagram and contributing to Facebook, but Sean was doing quite a bit on Facebook, really on the back end, like related to responding to incoming messages and that sort of thing. So we're recommending that we do full management of both in order to make sure that that's covered, and that when people want to communicate with the DDA through Facebook, that is successful. Additionally, we're talking about reactivating the consumer newsletter. And running that much the way that we did before. The rate that you see here reflects what we know it takes to do this, having done this work for the DDA, for the last year. And just a quick note, in order to streamline things, make it easy on the DDA, we are offering to run the cost of the newsletter program and the boosting budget through Siren without a markup.
Okay. Discussion. Director Riley.
Yeah, I'm just, I think, what, I respect everything going on here. We're definitely caught in a crunch here. With Sean, up and leaving, and we have a gap. Here's my concerns. My concerns are that the committee, the CMC, I think had made the decision to go with another source with the newsletter, and I'm not sure what's happened with that. And I don't know. I know the chamber had been discussed in return for some of the stuff that. Some of the help that we'd given them, that they would help us with that, because I believe that they posted a good newsletter.
I can speak to that, Matt, and update you if you'd like.
There had been some the discussions I'd heard from some board members. I mean, you won't find anybody who's a bigger supporter of Siren in terms of what they do for us than myself. But we had heard a lot of negative comments about the newsletter in terms of even from some of the members themselves that, you know, some of the stuff, it didn't seem like enough was included. There was a lot of the same stuff. It was brought to my attention weeks ago that we kind of went a little bit dark in terms of Instagram posting. In fact, in April, I don't know that we posted more than 5 times. And I guess it seems like that we've lost momentum in terms of, like, with Ferndale, in terms of total posts so far for the year. I mean, it seems like other communities are passing us. I'm not sure where we are in terms of followers. I guess here's one of the things that I think we're in a bind. What I don't want to do is I don't want to just be reactive, and I know time is of the essence. But the way this has come out, it seems like I think it was Director Fire or Executive Director Twing said that I don't even know if the Consumer Marketing Committee had even seen the proposal from Siren. What I would like to do is to take just a little bit more time, and I'm not saying wait until next month, but get this back to committee. Have them look at this and any other options that are out there. But what I don't want to do, one of the things I remember back in November when we were sitting and talking about this, and we realized that we were all over the place. We had Screw, we had Siren, we had Sean doing this, and we wanted to and the CMC was going to take it all under control and get it, all into one nice, neat little package. And again, it's not the CMC's fault. It's just, unfortunately, we lost our downtown manager, and now we're in scramble mode. And for the sake of another week or 10 days or 14 days, even if we have to, I'd rather get it right and have this vetted properly and make sure that we know what we want to do, because the next 2 months is very important. I do not want to go dark, but I also just don't want to jump into the pool without making sure how deep it is. So I think, we have the people on the CMC who understand this stuff, who know this stuff. One of the things, and again, I don't mean to pick on things, but one of the things that I noticed, and I'm no social media expert, I'm far from it, and all of you have forgotten more than I'm ever going to learn about social media. But the one thing that kind of caught my eye was only 1 hour of follow-up in the proposal. And it seems to me, the only thing I know is from personal experience in a restaurant that my sister reads this stuff constantly and reacts, if there's something negative or something out there. And 1 hour a month, I don't think it's going to do it. And again, so I'm not saying that's bad, but I think that between the people on the committee, between Director Rosbeck and Keith and Director London, you guys are way more involved in this stuff and know really what makes sense. Let's get this right. Let's get this right, and and again, I don't mean to put any, you guys, God knows you guys have enough meetings, but I think that you need to flesh this out and make sure that we get it right. And if we got to call a special meeting, I mean, Tim's not going to want to hear that, but again, this is some of the stuff that's kind of just like we did back in the COVID days. This is kind of like that revisited. This is a little bit of a crisis, and we need to just take a deep breath and just make sure. Take the extra week, take the extra 2 weeks, and do it right.
Okay.
This may end up being the right thing, but I'd feel a lot better if you guys fleshed it out and knew it was the right thing and said, yep, that's exactly what we want to do. I want to make sure that we're posting on Instagram, that we're posting on Facebook, that we're not losing momentum, particularly now of all times. I mean, the weather's starting to break, and it's not just a matter of doing it. We got to do it right.
Okay.
All while we're trying to find a new manager. Not easy.
Director Luan, I had you next. Yep, Director Luan.
I might have missed this because I was absent last month. Did Sean ever hire the part-time social media manager that's supposed to help, or no?
No.
No.
Actually, good news, bad news. I mean, because this way, you get the new position gets to be involved in that hire. But it sure would have been great if we had somebody trained right now.
Okay. I saw Director Yazbek's hand next.
Yes, I agree with Director Riley. I think a couple things. We made some decisions a couple months ago with regard to Siren because we gave them a lot. There's a lot on their plate. It's nice. It's commendable that they're ready to step up and help when we're in a pinch. But I think it makes sense to examine whether we do have another alternative or alternatives. We at the CMC can evaluate that. We can meet again next week. We have such fun at those meetings. I know, for example, one group that is intimately familiar with our social media program and what we're doing is Scroove. Scroove does social media. I reached out to them and asked them about it. They said they would be interested. They have an excellent reference in former Chairman Jay Dunstan, who speaks very highly of their social media skills. And, you know, they were helping Sean. They know exactly what we were doing with social media. So if we want to make an immediate move to try to not lose momentum, I think Scruva is, for example, a logical alternative. And, you know, I don't know if they provide less, more. That's something we'd have to look at, but at least request a proposal from them and see what they have to offer. They're obviously, with regard to the content, they already have a lot of content that they can post, and they complained when Sean was here that we weren't posting enough. So now that Sean's not here, I'm not very optimistic that we're going to post more than when Sean was here. So Scroove might be a good alternative. If any of you have another, I think we should schedule a meeting and talk to them about it.
Okay, I saw Director Keith.
Yeah, and maybe this is the wrong forum, I guess, but I was trying to understand why we did fall off in April, right? I'd like to understand. I mean, I thought we had everybody under contract to do work in April, or, you know, up till recently, and I'd like to understand why we did kind of fall off on. I mean, I just looked at the Instagram, and, you know, I see a couple of Screw videos, which is great, and there's like one other post, and my expectations are higher than that, and I thought we had people under contract to be doing that work, and I'd like to understand a little bit more why we didn't get more posting.
Michael, I can speak to that if Director Sophia would.
Yep. Go ahead.
Okay,
You're recognized.
Thank you. Our contract for social media management ended March 31st.
Okay, so we did not have that, you guys nobody under contract for April. So we were dark in April then.
Correct. Our current contract includes storytelling, strategic consultation. So what we were doing was advising Sean on what to post and how to communicate that. We were providing him some talking points and some suggested content. I don't think it made it up. You know, he had a lot on his plate. We were not under contract to manage social media in April. That was not in our scope. It is no longer in our scope as of April 1st.
Lindsay, I'm just asking, did we know that? No, not us, but did Sean know that? I'm assuming Sean knew that.
Yes, 100%. We had an offboarding meeting with him at the end of March to give him a training in the way that we've been managing Instagram. And so yes, he was definitely aware of that.
Okay. Then Director did you want anything more, Lindsay, right now?
Oh, sure. Just Matt had also asked about the newsletter. So Sean had opted to take the newsletter in-house with the city platform. And he had sent a couple of emails out to the 20,000 person email list through that. We don't have access to that. And the program that we use is MailChimp. So we just have to get the email list and re-upload it into MailChimp and be able to manage it the way that we were doing that before. So you asked what had happened to the newsletter. That was the case. Sean had taken it to the city platform.
Okay. Director Lewan.
I'm going to provide like a counter perspective here.
Sure.
We're only looking at something that's 90 days. Siren's already really involved in the high level strategy and is going to collaborate with the video team. I think it would be counterproductive for us to spend 30 days of that potentially looking at other vendors for such a short time window when you have a partner that's really involved already. If it's something more long-term, I'd be more inclined to say, yeah, let's open this up to an RFP process. Let's get other contractors involved. But I think the assumption is that by the end of August 31st, there'd be a new manager and or part-time person as well that would jump in and take back the social media and the newsletter. And I'd also say this, that May 24th, that's when work from home lifts. That's when like things are going to start lifting and reopening in June, and a gap in June. Anytime we have a gap in our marketing as a small business, if it's like a 30-day gap, it impacts the next 30 days after. Like there's like a tailwind impact there. But I'm open to either direction.
Good point. Okay, Director London.
Everything that Director Luan said, I support. You have a strategic partner already has our year-long goals, who's just going to carry the ball forward versus a video team that didn't even submit an RFP for this work to go forward. They didn't even try to be in the bidding process. So.
Okay. Thank you. Director Riley.
Yeah, when I wasn't advocating a month. In fact, what I had said was that maybe we took a week and just like I said, flesh it out and figure out exactly what we want. And I'm not saying who we want. I mean, you guys decide that. CMC decides that. But I think it would be worth taking. I mean, let's face it. We sat here for a month not doing anything, and none of us even knew that we weren't doing anything. Okay, so I mean, we've already, and yeah, that puts us further behind the 8 ball, if you will. But I mean, my gosh, again, and I'm not blaming anyone for this, but this is what has happened because we've had this thing so piecemealed out there that the CMC, myself, the chair, nobody knew that we were dark for a month. I mean, because this stuff is all over the map. I would just like the CMC to sit down, get it all straightened out, make sure everybody knows who's doing what, how much of it they're doing, and what we're paying them for it. And by the way, while I'm at it, and I just have to throw this out there, and again, I'm social media cretin, but I'm going to throw this out to whoever the savviest of you are, Director Luan, Director Keith, Director Rosbeck. Would it ever make sense to make a partner's compensation based, somewhat based upon an incentive based, if you will, based upon increase in followers? Does that make any kind of sense?
No.
Okay. Is it a simple reason why? I'm just again.
It's not a measurement that you can rely on.
Okay.
You can buy followers.
Got
Matt.
it. Got it. Okay.
Okay.
That would be the best way to sweeten that deal, is to go buy a bunch of
Yeah,
followers.
I'll do it, Matt.
I got it.
Okay.
I got it. Like I said,
Can I, Director Safai, can I just make a motion, and maybe this is not an appropriate motion, but can we make a motion to move forward in good faith with Siren to negotiate further the package they put in front of us, but to move forward in good faith that they will help support the DDA in this 90-day period that we do not have a downtown manager for an expanded contract.
Okay. So I have a
second
motion by Director Rosbeck.
Seconded by Director London.
Directed. Okay, I
Yeah.
didn't say that. Then.
From an administrative standpoint, I don't know what that means.
I'm seconding it.
No,
No.
I don't know what the motion means.
So the motion means that we will, in faith, that we are moving forward Siren, but we are not necessarily agreeing to whatever dollar amount that is in this proposal. And I apologize, I don't have the proposal because I don't get Tim's his attachments.
Well, you do get them, you just can't open them.
Yeah.
I think they corrupt. I must be. I
have the same problem.
But in any case, I agree with Director Riley in the fact that we haven't had enough time to review this proposal, but I would like to move forward. I believe in good faith that we can work to an agreement with Siren and with Tim on what we need supported. I'm with Director Luan. We really don't have a minute to spare in terms of keeping some lights on. And so social media is one of those lights that we have to keep on. And if we make, to your point, we're not making a lot of progress, or we have a slow of momentum. I would not want to end the rest of May dark. I'd like to get some things out there, and even if it looks like we're pushing things a little faster, I think this is the best way to go. I also agree that adding another vendor to this mix is just would not be the most promising thing we should do.
And that takes time.
Okay, so I want to be clear on what we're talking about here. We're talking about a maximum of a 90-day period. And then my understanding is that from the discussion here is that it's going to be incumbent upon the CMC committee that between now and that 90-day period, that we come up with some sort of game plan that may or may not include Siren, or it may be dividing up the work between Siren and someone else, or it could be giving all the work, or this or that, or so forth or so forth. But we need to get more specific moving forward about who's going to do the newsletter, who's going to do the postings, who's going to do all the social media, yeah, and so forth and so forth. And I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other things that I'm not forgetting. So that's what it's sounding like to me. I would like to make sure that we're all on the same page, at least in what our discussion is at this point. And if we could do that, then I personally would support Director Lewan's idea about the maximum 90-day period moving forward with Siren. Director Keith.
Yeah, I mean, decal is going to be in the mix too, right? I mean, there's somebody that we're going to be negotiating with and talking to and figuring out scopes of work in that same meantime, right? So, I mean, they should be getting onboarded in some level within the next 30 to 45 days max. So they would then be, so we would kind of have double for about 45 days. We could be kind of doubled up, which to me, I'd rather double up than be dark. So I'd rather, I mean, that's I mean, and really, I understood it as that would be, it could be, we could cancel, I guess, if we wanted to or whatever. I mean, for me, I'd rather double up is my point. I'd rather be going at it twice as hard at this time, just because we got a big summer and
yeah,
it's really important that we're out there tomorrow-ish.
Okay, I have Director Yesbeck, and I want to wrap this up here pretty soon if we can.
Yeah, sorry to even weigh in again. I want to preface this by saying that I think that I'm agreeing with the motion, but what I would simply say is that what's being suggested is that we go back, analyze this Siren proposal, make sure we're happy with it, bring it back to the board for approval. If we're going through that exercise, then how does it hurt to also analyze for example, Scrooge proposal? Because I'm not sure I know more about social media than Director Riley. So I'm on that level, but it certainly sounds from what I've heard from Scrooge that they're able to give us much more. They have time to do much more with regard to the social media, to the responses, to all, not necessarily the strategic plan or anything like that, just the day-to-day information response and however that works. So it just sounded like they're able to provide us with much more. If we're
hold on one second.
It wouldn't take one extra moment to evaluate, the Scrooge proposal versus the Siren proposal, because we're going through the same procedure.
So just to be clear, Director Yazbek, I want to make it clear that you're talking about the current 90-day period that we're discussing, not after the 90-day period. You're talking about the current 90 days.
What I'm saying is when we meet next week to talk about the Siren proposal, we talk about the Scrooge proposal too, whichever one sounds better to us, we bring it back to the board. It's the same time period.
I think, Tony, what you're not understanding though is that Siren already has a contract with us. They're just amending their contract to be an interim downtown manager, basically, for staff. So I don't want to entertain a different vendor for other opportunities at this point. We've gone through our RFP, and we had 2 really good candidates that we've already, that we had come out of that, and we interviewed them. I really do think this is apples and oranges. And so I would, as I said, I put a motion on the table
Okay,
to move forward with,
I gotcha.
I said, Siren
Have that.
in a 90-day capacity to do an extended, to have an amendment to their contract.
I'm going to second that. motion.
Just so
Hold on.
everybody's clear,
Wait.
just so everybody's clear with what I said. I'm not saying anything beyond that, beyond the 90 days. This has nothing to do with an RFP. We didn't put out an RFP for interim social media person. So has nothing to do with what I said. What I said is, if we're going to take time to evaluate the proposal from Siren, we can just as easily evaluate the proposal from Screw, who's also been involved in the last year, specifically with social media and content, more so than Siren. So it makes perfect sense to evaluate that proposal as well. It doesn't take one extra day to look at that proposal if we chose to.
But this is not just social media, Tony, and that's all
This
I'm
is
just
for
going to say.
interim 90-day social media person. That's what we're talking
No,
about.
no, it's not. It's more than that. If you looked at what they're going to do for us, there's more attached to that than just social media.
Mike,
Sorry.
I think I can provide some clarity on the scope, if to help everybody out, if that would be okay.
before you get into that though, I'd like to make one comment. If you're going to refer, you cannot refer a contract to the committee to approve. Okay, we're not referring a contract to the committee to approve. The full board has to approve a contract. So either the motion is to approve the proposal in front of you, or the motion has to be to amend it and indicate certain things that you either want to take out of it or include in it or deal with it. If you refer it to the committee in any fashion, it's going to come back to the board for an action at some point in the future.
I will amend my motion.
Okay, I have a whole bunch of hands. It looks like everybody wants to chime in here. But because we have a motion on the table, I feel like we need to not address it. We're not going to call for the vote, but if Director Rosbeck wishes to amend her motion, then we have to deal with that. Director Rosbeck.
I'm going to amend my motion to move forward with the Siren 90-day amended contract.
Okay.
And I think you need a second to redo that,
Yeah.
because I think Lori London.
Lori, you had the original second. Are you amenable to
Yes.
that
I'll
amendment?
second it.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second on the table.
And
I
Siren
will-
wanted to talk about their scope of work, so they understood more, it was more than social media.
Right. Okay. So I have a number of hands here. I'll start with Director Riley.
Yeah, Director Rosbeck, here's my problem. You just moved to approve a proposal that you just earlier said you haven't even read yet. I have a problem with that. And that's my point here.
I have not been able to read it. You are absolutely right.
But you're advocating, you're moving to approve it without looking at it. You are the one who has the expertise in this area. You are the one who can tell me whether an hour a month is sufficient or not. You're moving.
I can tell you that.
You're moving to approve that, and that's my.
So,
Okay, one at a time, one at a time.
Let me finish. I let you talk.
Okay.
One at a time.
Let me finish. So for the sake of an extra week, sit down and look at this thing and flesh it out and make sure it's what you want. Okay? Make sure it's what you want before we just go and approve it and let them run free for 90 days. Everybody's saying how important this is. Well, we got to rush it. All right. Well, let's make sure we're doing it right. We can take another week. Hell, we've been dark for a month and we didn't even know it. Okay?
Well, an extra week means an extra month.
Hold on.
No, it does not.
Hold on.
It does not. We can call it. Look, we did it all last spring. We called special meetings out the yin yang when we had.
Well, I have read it in full, so I can do the motion.
Okay, hold on.
That's not what I'm.
Well, can I just?
Director
whoops.
Rasbeck, you
Sorry.
have the floor right now.
Yes, can I just respond though, Matt? We do not get a lot of, when we talk about an hour a week, they're talking about the amount of commentary they might get from a direct DM or a complaint through social media.
I just brought up one point of it. My point.
But I am saying, I was in the meeting that we talked through most of these points in their proposal. I know what the proposal was for. And again, and we were all in agreement that we were recommending them to step in this interim period.
So
The dollars,
Okay, hold on,
if the
hold on.
dollars are what you're concerned with, I appreciate that. That's all I'm going to say.
All right.
But you're advocating.
Go ahead, Director Riley. Go ahead.
It's 3 to 5 posts. I don't know. If
Let's wrap it up.
Right? I mean, Ferndale's outposting our asses right now. Okay. We're getting our lunch handed to us. And we're going to rush this through. Look, I don't care whether you guys want to talk to Scrooge or Joe Blow. I don't care. Just let's make sure we do this right.
Okay.
Rushing this through because this came on us yesterday. When did the CMC first hear about this? Yesterday?
Monday.
Okay, 2 days ago. That's not fair. That's not fair.
It's an emergency situation.
I understand. Right. I understand. If we did that last year, and flew by the seat of our pants, we would not be
flying by. This is a known entity. They're not a stranger to the city of Royal Oak.
I'm saying the proposal. I'm not questioning the character. I'm questioning the content.
Well, I read the content.
Is it enough?
Okay. Director Lowan, please.
I read through it. I think, having spent a few years in social media, I thought it looked really good and like enough, but it seems like that the board's very divided on this. So I see two paths forward. We either vote to approve or we call a special meeting. And given that it is a crisis situation and very timely, and we've been dark for 30 days, I would want to do a special meeting in a week, if possible. I don't think we wait a month on this. And I don't know if that sounds a little rash, but I think if we wait a week, we have to go back, make a few tweaks. It could be another week or two before we sign. It is timely.
No question.
Okay. Director Keith.
I just want to confirm, is the proposal is the $5,700 per month, right? That is the right proposal that I'm looking at via email?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we have a current motion on the table that needs to be dealt with before anything else. So if there's no other comments at this time.
Director Sophia, could I make a comment on the scope, please?
Sure.
Thank you so much. So I appreciate the need and desire to want to make sure that this is done right and strategically. And I want to ensure the full board and staff that our partnership will always be strategic. It has been from the beginning, and that is our intent for it to continue. What you do not see in this addendum is the strategy that is already included in our current contract. So storytelling, strategic advising is included in the current contract that we have. Message development for key DDA initiatives, in addition to advising on the best strategies for communicating those out through all of the channels, including social media and the newsletter. That is included in our current contract. So us activating to be the ones to implement that is seamless, easy, quick. We have zero learning curve with it. And I have the exact same team that handled social media and the newsletter last year ready to go on Monday. So I just want to assure everyone that we are being guided with a deep strategic knowledge and approach with the DDA, and activating with the scope in the addendum is designed based on what we know works to grow the DDA following and meet the goals and key metrics that we have been meeting with you all over the last year. I also just want to clarify that responding to incoming messages and comments is 1 hour per week, not per month. And that's based on the rate of messages that we have seen the DDA receive over the last year.
Okay, thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Okay, so we do have a current motion. We're gonna deal with that motion right now and see where it leads. And we'll go from there. Tim, are you okay with the current motion as it stands?
Absolutely. It's simply approving the proposal.
Okay, I just want to make sure that you're okay with it from your standpoint.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote. Director Rosbeck,
Yes.
Director London,
Yes.
Director Lewan,
Yes.
Director Yesbick,
No.
Director Riley,
No.
Director Keith,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. Okay, so that motion does pass. Okay, anything else to deal with in this matter?
I just wanted to say thank you, everyone. And Director Yesbeck and Riley, if you would like to chat with my team, we're available.
Lindsay, it's not personal. It's just about timing.
Oh, I know. I get it.
It's just about getting it straightened out and making sure we know what we're doing.
I got you, Matt.
Because everything, we've been trying for months to get everything straightened, and this threw a kink into it, and now we're back to scramble mode, and it's unsettling.
Okay, we're ready to move on to the next item. Okay, item number 8, we have 2 items to deal with here. Item number 8 is the facade grant application.
It's for Deco Doug.
Deco Doug's.
It's basically a request for the DDA to consider providing 50% to replace an awning that was ripped and tore away. You should see some pictures of the awning. Normally, we would take these to the infrastructure committee first, but we just in terms of timing and things, we brought it to the board. So it's a $1,500 quote, which means the board would provide $750.
Okay, I will say, just from the committees, from the infrastructure committee, this is the type of funding that we would normally approve or recommend for approval. This is the kind of work, and this is what the program was put in place for. So that's, I'll leave my comments as that. Director Rosbeck.
I move to approve this.
Okay. Motion by Director Rosbeck. Second by Director London. Any questions for Mr. Twing or anybody? Okay, call for the vote. Director Rosbeck,
Yes.
Director London,
Yes.
Director Yesbick,
Yes.
Director Lewan,
Yes.
Director Riley,
Yes.
Director Keith,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. Motion passes. Okay. The next one.
This one's a little different, Mr. Chairman. It's an additional request from 215 South Main. The board had previously approved a facade grant application for this business location. The downtown manager had worked with them in terms of collecting invoices and receipts, and the board actually voted to reimburse based on those receipts. It's been reimbursed in an amount of $7,600 roughly based on the prior information that was provided. The downtown manager in the last few months has received some additional requests from the property owner indicating there were additional invoices that he forgot to submit, and is asking the board to consider an additional amount of $2,112.50, bringing the total to about $9,700. it's under the $10,000 cap. Again, this didn't go to the committee again because of the timing and things on it. But if your options are either to refer it to the committee for more information, conversation, and discussions with the property owner, you can approve it or you can reject it.
Okay. I'll start out being chair of the infrastructure committee here. This is the first one that we've had to deal with where someone has come back and asked for additional funds. So this is not of the norm for what we normally would do. I'm a little troubled by this only because we haven't had a time really to look at this, at least the additional portion of it. We already approved the majority of it. I don't know if there was additional work or how this was all done. I don't know. I'm at this time, I'm a little uncomfortable with it. So my recommendation coming just from my personal belief is either we refer this back or if it's the board's decision just to deny it, so forth. So I saw Director London's hand first.
I think it should go back to your committee.
Okay, is that motion?
Yeah.
Okay, motion by Director London. Director Rosbeck, second?
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, anything? Okay,
His first invoice is build the sign for $3,000. It's a bit. I'm glad it's going back to the committee because that's a bit weird.
yeah, I'm just not comfortable until we take a harder look at
That's
this.
just
And
crazy.
it
Forgot the
seems to
most
be some
important part.
confusion here, and you know, Tim was Sean was running point on this, so we've kind of lost that track of information here also. So I think this is the prudent action. Okay, so I'm going to call for the vote. Director London
Yes.
and Director Rosbeck
Yes.
and Director Keith,
Yes.
Director Riley,
Yes.
Director Lewan,
Yes.
Director Yazbek,
Yes.
and I will vote yes also. Okay. Tim, any other additional items, or did you want to comment on the reports?
I don't have any comments on the report. One item I would like to bring up is lacking an indication of the board's disinterest. It would be my intent to schedule the June meeting as an in-person meeting in the commission chambers of City Hall. Well, the City Commission may extend the state of emergency through July or August. That's not a requirement to hold meetings remotely. So, and given that the board doesn't have a large public comment turnout at the meeting, I would like to at least start having some meetings in there and get used to it so you can see how it runs and operates as a test. And so unless board members told me you weren't going to come and I wasn't going to have a quorum, I would schedule the June meeting as an in-person meeting.
Okay, I think
motion. If you have an objection, please let me know.
Yeah, just maybe everybody try and put it on their calendar to be available that day would be much appreciated. I believe it's still the third Wednesday of the month at 4 o'clock.
Third Wednesday at 4 o'clock, but it will. I'll schedule it, and you'll get notice and all the normal things. But we will schedule it to be an in-person meeting. We'll try to get the room set up and make sure everything's running, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Can I bring coffee?
Yeah. If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll put my order in, Michael.
Anything else? I see none. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Director Yazbek, second by Director London. And our last roll call, Director Yazbek,
Yes.
Director London,
Yes.
Director Lewan,
Yes.
Director Riley,
Yes.
Director Rosbeck,
Yes.
Director Keith,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. And the DDA, we are officially adjourned. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.